You know, the husband thinks that any salad is just rabbit food. He won't touch it. But I tricked him. I came up with a salad that is so manly, even he couldn't resist. We're gonna start here with a potato pancake. Let me just get this last bit of peel off. And the potato that we're using is a baking potato, generally called a russet. My favorite way to grate, period, anything, potatoes, vegetables, is on the grating disc of a food processor, because it just goes so quickly. Besides which, at the end of a bad day at the office, it's sort of fun, you know? Okay, olive oil. You can use either a non-stick pan, or I have here a stick-resistant pan. Just a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. And then all of these go in there at once. I'm gonna smush them down. You want about a medium heat, medium to medium high. And then just give it a smush. So while that's cooking away, gotta be patient, just walk away. We're gonna get our steak on. Now, this is just a good old, you know, New York strip sirloin steak. It's pretty thick, so it's gonna take, I think, about 5 minutes aside. You know, for this, because it is a manly salad, we're probably going with about 6 ounces per person. But generally with protein, I try to keep it at more like 4 ounces per person. Okay, so we're gonna get this in here. Yeah, that's the sound you wanna hear when you add your steak to the pan. If you don't hear that sizzle, the pan just wasn't hot enough. So I'm just gonna slice an onion here. Now, you noticed I didn't season this side of the steak. I don't season side 2 until right before I flip it. Because if I seasoned it now and it sat there for 5 minutes, this side would be all wet. And then when I turned it over, the steak wouldn't sear. All right, dressing time. So I'm making a creamy blue cheese dressing because, again, this is my steakhouse salad. And we're gonna start with a little garlic. So just a couple of garlic cloves. This guy's really tiny. Okay, we need about a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice here. Don't ever use that bottled stuff. It just doesn't have the same flavor. And we're gonna squeeze that right in there. And then we have some sherry vinegar. Now, sherry vinegar is one of my favorite vinegars. I tend to reach for it a lot because it doesn't just have the acid. It really has sort of a nice smoky taste from the sherry. So 2 tablespoons of this. I'm gonna add a tiny pinch of salt. And then some mustard, 2 teaspoons Dijon mustard. And what's a steakhouse without Worcestershire sauce? We need 2 teaspoons of this. There we go. And then slowly add our oil. And now we're gonna add some sour cream. This is what makes it creamy. It's about 1/3 of a cup. And then some blue cheese. Okay, and that's about 1/3 of a cup also. I need to get my steak flipped over, so let me do this first. I'm gonna season it now that I'm gonna turn it. Oh, wow, what a beautiful sear. Okay, we're gonna give that about another 4 or 5 minutes. Let me check our potato here. Okay, here we go. So I can see one part's gonna stick, but I'm gonna just make this work. There we go. Now I'm gonna season this side, and I bet you my steak is done. Let me just touch it. Now, the way you can tell with a steak or a piece of meat if it's done is the more it cooks, the more well done it gets, the firmer it gets. So when you touch it, yeah, you can see there's a little bit of give, which means that it's probably rare to medium rare. I'm gonna put it on a plate and let it rest. It's very important when you're cooking meat or any kind of protein to let it rest, because what happens is the juices go back in and redistribute so that it's completely evenly juicy inside. If I slice this right now, all the juices would come streaming out and we'd have a dry steak. I mean, who wants a dry steak? Okay, now I'm gonna add my onions, and we're gonna make these nice and brown. I can clean up a little bit while I'm waiting. So you see how nicely it comes together after 10 to 12 minutes each side? You just keep smushing it, and eventually you end up with one big potato pancake. So we're going to take this out, and we're going to cut it in fours. Everybody gets their own quarter of it. It's the crunchy part at the bottom of the plate. And meanwhile, my steak has been resting, and it's given off a fair amount of juice, which is what happens whenever you let protein rest. And you don't want to waste that juice. It's delicious stuff. So we're going to add it right to our onions, create a little bit of a sort of sauce there, and get our steak down here to slice. We're going to get rid of the fat, which we cooked on it, just to give it a little bit of flavor from the fat. There we go. Oh, yeah, that's very rare. And then we're going to just do some cross-cut slices. Let's say that's about enough. I've got my spinach in the fridge. I washed and spun it dry. We're going to start with a potato on the bottom. We'll top it off with some beautiful steak slices. Wow, that's gorgeous, isn't it? Put some onion on top with all that yummy steak juice in there. Just put a little bit of spinach on either side. And finally, a drizzle of blue cheese sauce. Now, could you really call this a salad? I don't think so. This is just way too hearty to be called a salad. And I know the husband would be very, very happy with it. That's it. My warm steakhouse salad with blue cheese dressing.